Welcome everyone to the first vlog for the Opulent Lifestyle Collective. I'm here today with Ashley from FITA-U Performance Centre, and we're about to talk about all things weights, women, and how weight training, I suppose, and daily exercise can really transform your life. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. So ultimately, you're a personal trainer and you have been for 3 years now, is that right? And you run your own personal training and perform, or you're just about to launch or open up your own performance centre here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Super exciting. Congratulations.
Yes, it is. Very, very exciting.
So you're our resident personal training or health and wellness expert, I suppose, for the Opulent Lifestyle Collective. So why do you think, or what do you find with women around, especially your clientele, why is it so important for them to get started in weight training and functional movement?
Yeah, look, I guess, we move in all different planes of motion every day. You're squatting, especially, as a women, they've got children, squatting down to pick up kids, squatting down to pick up something off the, get something out of the bottom of the Tupperware cupboard, or they're lifting their kids overhead. It's functional, movement. So a lot of the training exercise, a lot of the exercises which I have my clients do are generally functional exercises, and you do find that big compound movements like deadlift, squats, chin-ups, presses, bench press, all those sort of type of movements, because they have multiple joints, they burn a lot more rather than just sitting there and doing a heap of bicep curls and thinking that's going to make all the difference. So yeah, it's all about exercising so that it's making your life easier and that it's actually transfers into your everyday life.
Sure. So you're making it more about that lifestyle functionality and longevity.
Yeah, definitely.
So you spoke about obviously having those pros, I suppose, of just doing functional movement, because we don't realise that even something as trivial as carrying the shopping up the stairs from your car, we're utilising those sorts of muscles.
Yeah.
So if women are already moving, which is amazing, and everyone, I believe, needs to find what they really love doing, whether that's yoga, it's running, it's walking, it's going to the gym, doing cycling class. But why is it important, though, to incorporate weight training or somewhat functional, like those bigger compound movements, into their training regime for the week?
I guess the biggest thing is, studies have shown that when women get to the age of 35, their bone density starts to decrease by sort of, it's about 2 or 3% per year. So if you do the multiplications of that over 10 years, at the least amount, 2%, that's 20% bone density reduction, which is a lot. And that puts you in a very fragile state. If you do fall over or something like do bump yourself, you've got more chance of doing breaking a bone or doing damage, rather than if you've got nice strong bones from doing your weight training, you've got less chance of doing an injury. So that's first and foremost. Second is you generally find with that there is still a misconception that women think that if they train weights they're going to get big and bulky, and they do find unless they've had that education process, they will stick to the cardio classes, they'll stick to the treadmill and keep going on those treadmill marches and think it's the best thing. And yeah, they might get a good huff and puff on, and they burn up some calories while they're there in doing that. But when they leave the gym, their post-exercise energy consumption isn't high. It's low because they haven't actually created what we call metabolic stress. So you generally find with your weight training, you might not burn as much in a session, but post-exercise energy consumption is so much higher because your body's got to use a lot more energy to help the body recover and rebuild and regenerate, and for protein synthesis to happen for your muscles to develop. Third, and going forward from there, the third point is for every kilo of muscle that you have, you burn up. Or if it's for every pound of muscle that you have, you burn 50 calories. So, for example, if you had, put this in kilos terms, if you had 40 kilos of muscle mass, you would burn just over 2,000 calories. That's just doing nothing. Like, that's not when you're in the gym, that's when you're just sitting down or sleeping, which is a lot. So you think, the more muscle mass you have, the more you're going to burn up, the higher your basal metabolic rate is going to be. So essentially your metabolism, which is what we all want. So we all want to be able to eat a little bit more and have that little bit of it also creates that bit of a buffer, so that when you do say, go out and enjoy a few drinks and eat some food that you normally wouldn't eat, your body isn't just going to store it. It's going to be able to chew it up because it's got that good amount of muscle mass there, and your metabolism is going to be running at a really good rate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, ultimately, because we're all about that lifestyle and we want to have that balance. We don't want to be depriving ourselves and stressing over calories that we're counting, etc. So incorporating that little bit of weight training into your day or your weekly regime can really make a difference in that essence. Now let's talk about also weight training, and specifically now a lot of women don't like talking about this, but it actually is something that affects not only women who have had children, but even women that have just come out of their teenage years. And this can be a genetic thing, but it also just comes down to what sort of exercise you're doing. And it's actually the pelvic floor. There's a lot of talk about it at the moment in the media, but also it's actually quite an important component that we don't actually realise how much effect it has on us. So you've found with your female clients that you've had a few of those successes as well? Yeah,
definitely. And also I've seen it just in general, when you switch, that to doing, lifting weights correctly and, bracing really well with your breathing, that you start to really, your transverse abdominals, which is essentially the muscles that help to control your pelvic floor, become a lot stronger. So yeah, that's, it's a huge thing. And I guess you can get you don't need to be that constantly, that jumping up and down it's not really good, for anyone. It's good to do it in small amounts, but we should, predominantly be doing our weight training. It's going to help a lot more rather than, doing those high impact, running exercises or plyometric movements.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, for all the runners out there, and absolutely, as we mentioned before, you find that piece of exercise that you love doing. It's just something to be super conscious about, that you need to or it's something to think about also, is incorporating weighted training or strength training, or really being diligent about doing exercises that can actually help your pelvic floor, because ultimately you really want to look after the longevity of your life and your body as well. And I know for me personally, I have a lot of women within my life that are struggling with it, and it's a bit of a hush-hush subject, as we mentioned before, but in all honesty, there's so many avenues that you can go down and so many methods that you can improve your current state or alleviate it completely.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us today.
It's okay. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. So we'll be doing our vlogs quite regularly, and we'll be covering off a whole range of different topics. But ultimately, this is a hub or a portal of knowledge and a few bits and pieces that you can just pop on, and yeah, hopefully we've shed some light for you. So we'll see you later.